What's up, guys? We have made it to the divisional round in the NFL playoffs last week. 6-1 in the wild card round. Very happy about that. We posted a couple of free plays on here and TikTok, Instagram. Those all won. Our one loss was the Browns, -2. The Texans pull off the small upset. They move on. This week, 4 very interesting games. I gave out some early leans on them already, but in this video, we're going to dig a little bit deeper, and I'm going to give you guys some trends. I got a system, I got some trends, and we're going to talk referees. So let's start. Let's just get right into it. Green Bay, San Francisco, Packers +9.5 on the road. Familiar spot for them. They're a big road dog once again. We had them to cover last week, but I honestly did not think they would win the game outright. My interest in this game is going to see how that defense, the Packers defense, does against a team that they actually don't have a matchup advantage against. Because last week they had a huge advantage where, like, my handicap was very simple for that game. Dallas is not going to be able to run the ball with Tony Pollard as they've struggled to all year long. The Packers are bad against the rush, but they can't exploit it. So they're going to struggle a little bit to throw the ball. The Packers are a bit better against the pass. And that's pretty much what happened. But the one thing that I didn't expect was Jordan Love having the amazing game that he did. So they win. But now coming into this week, they do not have that advantage anymore. The Niners are going to run the ball down your throat, and they're going to beat you up while they do it. Incredibly good rushing attack. Christian McCaffrey should have a big game in this one if this metrics hold up, because the Packers are not good against the run. So unless they do something scheme-wise or come out with some crazy coaching plan, this is going to be they're going to get beat up in the trenches in this game. So for me, that's a little bit scary if I'm looking to back the Packers. The 9.5, though, I think just from a number standpoint, although I lean 49ers in terms of the game itself, the matchup, the spot, they're good off extended rest, but the number is, I think it's not in their favor. It's a little bit, and 9.5 is a little bit inflated. All right, my initial number was 9. So even though I know, say, what's the difference? Just a half point. Wait till I give you these 1 seed trends. So this will apply to the Niners game and also to the Texans Ravens game. But 1 seeds coming off the bye last 20 years, just 32-41 against the spread. That's 44%. And most recently, they're on a 13-25 run. That's really bad. That's 34% against the spread. And when the 1 seed is favored by less than 10 points, which you have on both games this weekend, unless one of them bumps up, that's an 8-22 against the spread run, which is 26%. So I think we can all agree here, just from a numbers mathematical standpoint, when a 1 seed is coming off of that bye week, I think we're overvaluing the rest a little bit, right? Because these numbers are clearly inflated and they're not they're winning, but they're not covering. But all we care about is who covers. So if you're looking at Green Bay from that perspective, maybe the back door is open late. For me, this is Niners or nothing. If this dips, maybe if some syndicates come in and they steam down the Packers, I would look to bet the other side. And the same thing goes with the Texans Ravens, but for this game, for me, it's Niners or nothing. Now, in the Texans-Ravens game, there's bad trends on rookie quarterbacks at this point in the playoffs. But at the same time, Lamar Jackson also has poor trends when he's a big favorite, 7 or more. He's like 1-9, I think, against the spread in 10 games. To me, I think Houston will be competitive in that game, more so than the Packers will be against the Niners. Or I think there's more of a letdown for Green Bay set up here with the matchup and how this thing plays out, mainly because the Texans are good at defending the rush, and I think their defense is going to be the difference. Right? Green Bay, just on paper, Green Bay is a bottom 10 defensive unit. So the fact that they've gotten here is great. It's amazing. An incredibly successful first year for Jordan Love, but they're not good defensively. The Texans are actually good defensively. All right. And I think that CJ Stroud can do enough to stay within the number. With that being said, rookie quarterbacks, including his win last week, but in their last 15 playoff games, they're just 4-11 straight up. But that, again, includes his win last week. Maybe he's the outlier. You know, there's always some guys that buck the trend, right? They're special. I do think he's special. So I would lean a little bit to the other thing about that game is week 1 they played, line was exactly the same. That was the first game of his career, DeMeco Ryans' coaching career, and the line was Ravens -9.5 in Baltimore. So I can't really get to the point where I say that situation is the same as this one. They've had a full season of experience. They've gotten so much better. And I think the Ravens could be a little rusty coming out, covering as big favorites. If this line were to go down again, I would look to bet Baltimore. Because remember, it's all about the line. It's not about who you think is going to win the game. It's about who you think where's the value. But I think sitting where it is right now, or even if this gets to double digits, I think the value is on Houston in that game. Now, one of the things that this leads me into the first system I'm going to give you guys, which applies to the Texans and also applies to the next game we're going to talk about. But the Texans won last week by an astronomical amount against the Browns. They put up 45 points. So I wanted to immediately look at teams that have huge wins in the wild card round. How do they do the next round? Do they fall flat on their face? Like, what happens to their offense? Teams that win by 3 touchdowns or more, so 21 points or more in the wild card round, going into the next round are actually 26-14 against the spread. That is 65%. That's great. So pretty shocking there. That applies to Houston, and that also applies to Tampa Bay because they won their game by, what was it, 32 to 9. So they won by 23. So that applies to the Buccaneers and it applies to the Texans. 65% against the spread when you win by 3 touchdowns or more in the previous week. And that just could be, at this time of year, maybe offensive momentum just, if you get hot, you get hot. We see that in other sports. So you see that in baseball. Whatever team gets hot in October is a team that can make a huge run. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But on to that Tampa Bay Detroit game. My initial thoughts on that game were if the line were to dip below 6, give me the Lions. It's gone beyond 6, and we're approaching 7. If I'm getting a full touchdown in this game, I'm firing on the Buccaneers. So if come the weekend and this is sitting at Tampa Bay plus 7, that's going to be a play for us. Mayfield is 3-0 against the spread in his career in the playoffs, and you saw a little bit, of the vulnerability of the Lions last week, where they put up 21 points in the first half, and then 3 points, essentially a donut in the second half, and let the Rams hang around that game for the entire game, which was very, very damn. They played with fire that whole game. I know they won the game, and it was a huge win for them, and that could very well be like the monkey off their back. Now the pressure's off, and they don't have a repeat performance like that in the second half. But the fact of the matter is they should have lost that game. They let LA hang around the entire game, not impressed in the second half. And what Tampa Bay does really well, which is not what the Rams do well. The Rams, I like to stay within that number or to win that game outright because they have such a strong offense. But what the Bucks do really well is they're going to drag you down with them. They're going to drag you into the trenches, the dirt, the mud, whatever you want to call it. They're going to force their physicality on you defensively because that's the only way they can. They don't have the fastest guys, the most athletic guys. They're a little bit of an aging defense, but they're healthy, which is key, and they're going to drag you down to the trench. They're going to look to play very physical. This is going to be who can run the ball. Both teams have good rushing defense. Who's going to be able to run the ball, and who's going to be able to get to the quarterback. That's really, I don't think this is going to be. That's why this 48.5, this total scares me a little bit. I think this could be a sneaky under game like it was when the Cowboys played the Lions. So I would look to bet the under, and I would look to bet Tampa plus 7 if I get there in this game. If we get plus 7 in this game, I would look to bet Tampa. Last game, you guys should know by now if you follow. I like the Bills. It's up to 3. I still like the Bills. I'm going to be betting them unless this goes to a crazy number, which I don't think it will. Patrick Mahomes getting a field goal, I could see this coming back down. But I like Buffalo. I think this is Buffalo's time right now, man. They got all those years they had to go to Kansas City or to somewhere else to get a playoff game. They finally have it at home. Punch your ticket to the AFC Championship game. I think they get it done. So I like Buffalo in that spot. You're going to see trends about Mahomes as a small favorite and a dog. Yes, he's been excellent in those spots. But remember, trends are not to be followed blindly. I never recommend that. They're always one piece of the puzzle. For me, I have futures on Buffalo. I've said if this was the matchup, I'm going to be on them. The number looks right to me. I'm probably going to be on the Bills. Let's talk referees really quick, and then I'll give you one last system after that. But referees for the Ravens-Texans game, which I told you I lean Houston. So remember, some of these will conflict. This is all information that you guys can use for your own personal handicapping. But John Hussey is going to be taking on that game. Hussey home teams, you've heard me speak about that. When it's the spread's -7 or higher, the home team when John Hussey's a referee, 22-11. That's 66% against the spread. So the referee trend there in that game points you to the Ravens. For Tampa Bay, Detroit, you got Bill Vinovich. Vinovich is an underdog referee. So each guy has their kind of like their theme. Vinovich, road dogs of +6 or more, 33-16 against the spread, 67%. That's these are some strong trends this weekend. And finally, for the Chiefs Bills game, you got Sean Hakuli. He doesn't really have a lean to the side either way, but he has a strong under referee, 58%, 55-39 to the under. And that number right now is set at, I believe it's 45.5 for that game. So 55-39, 58% to the under. The final one's Alex Kemp, and you got nothing on Alex Kemp. He has a small lean to the over. The number I think is 50 in that game with the Packers-Niners. Kemp is 55% to the over, but in terms of the side, he's complete right at 50%, 30-30 with home favorite. So he's clean there. Nothing dirt, no dirt on him. So he's clean. And the last thing I'm going to give you guys is to look again, as I told you last week, at outdoor non-divisional night unders. So last week I pointed this out that it was on a 29-9 run. It applied to the Dolphins-Chiefs game, which we took the under on. That was a 2-unit play for us. And then it applied for the Eagles Bucks game, another under that was a 2-unit play for us. They both won. So it's now on a 31-9 run. That's 77%. Outdoor non-divisional night games. So look at those this weekend. That's going to be your Chiefs Bills game and your Ravens Texans game. And that is pretty much it, guys. Rookie quarterbacks, we talked about that. Teams off the bye, we talked about that. We talked about the referees. That's most like every week you can dig up a ton of crap, but you got to sift through what's important and what's not. So those are the big trends that I'm seeing this weekend. Actual free plays will be out later this week. More stuff on the socials if you guys want to check those out. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more coming. The podcast will be uploaded tomorrow for this week where I go into it with Bruce. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.